Ayo, peace. Assalamu alaikum. I come in the righteous name of Emir. And today we're going to be building on today's degree, which is number 5 in mathematics. Number 5 is power refinement. Power is a manifested truth, thus placing yourself into a state of awareness as righteousness, thus cleaning yourself of all devilish negativity. Refinement is a clothing you wear when a person is refined and he is divine and has a power to destroy devilishment. Today's alphabet is number 5, equality. Equality is to be equal. No, equality is a supreme unity amongst the gods and the earth, is to be equal mentally as well as physically, in the mind as well as the body. And today's student enrollment degree is number 5. What is the area in square miles of the planet Earth? How much is the land? How much is the water? The square miles of the planet Earth is 196,940,000 square miles. The land is 57,255,000 square miles, and the water is 139,685,000 square miles. Right? Today we're gonna be building on how I see those degrees in their relation to each other, right? Because whenever I be studying lessons, how I find what gets me to the best understanding is by me cross-referencing, and that's how you do it. Because you start off with mathematics, you go on throughout the lessons, and you use each of them lessons, comparing them to each other, cross-referencing, you feel me? And that's how I get my best understanding of them, right? But how do I see today's mathematics? Well, starting from the first, how I see that is, if power is a manifested truth, that's showing you, with that whole power refinement, that's showing you that you got to bring it from knowledge of born mentally, right, before you do that physically. Because we said today's alphabet is dealing with equality. Equality is to want for your brother and your sister the same that you want for yourself, and do for your brother and sister the same that you would do for yourself, right? And it's also doing the same thing. It's exactly what it says, mentally as well as physically. That means walking the walk, talking the talk. That means, aligning your actions with your thoughts, aligning your words with your actions. Because a lot of people can talk, but when it comes to showing and proving, they can't put forth nothing, right? So you must be a producer of something and not a producer of nothing. So you must align your mentally with your physically, right? And you also must approach this with a nation building mentality, because we're only as good as our nation is, right? And our job is to teach the uncivilized civilization. We got to teach them what they do not know. We got to teach people around us, our brothers, our sisters, our mothers, and our fathers, right? And at the end of the day, it's take what we say or leave it. We ain't gonna force no one to do anything, but we got to make this knowledge available, right? So in dealing with equality, we gotta, as I said, do this with a nation building mentality. We gotta all be at the same. No big eyes, no little U's, none of that shit. We all gotta be thinking on a collective level, right? We gotta pool our resources, as the most honorable Elijah Muhammad taught. And we have to be about economics and not no dumbass social equality or social justice from them. Because how can you look towards a race of devils and a race of people that's never given you any justice and expect for them to give you social justice? But what being their equal ain't gonna give you nothing. That's just a slavery teaching, right? Being their equal ain't gonna give us nothing, right? And he does. And why doesn't he want us to be? Because he doesn't want us to know how filthy he is and what he does, right? If we know who he is, we gonna run him out from amongst us. But going back to that equality, you want for your brother and your sister what you want for yourself, and do for your brother and sister what you do for yourself, right? Because you can want this, that, and the third, but as far as it comes to doing, you got to practice that equality of aligning your thinking with your actions. But going back to power refinement, you got to bring it from knowledge of born mentally and to do that physically. You got to draw out your blueprint, right, and make that action plan. Because what are the 5 P's of power? Proper planning prevents poor performance. But looking at that, if power is to manifest the truth, right? Meaning you have, let me relate it to these lessons. I mean, to the square miles of the planet Earth. When dealing with that stuff, this is showing how I see the lesson of what is the area in square miles of the planet Earth, how much is land, how much is the water. That's showing you how to refine your raw materials and put them in together into a finished product, right? And as I just said, you got to bring it from knowledge to born mentally and then do it physically. But you also have to create a blueprint and an action plan, right? Showing, because the entire earth belongs to the black man. The entire 196,940,000 square miles, the land and the water, that belongs to the black man, right? So if that belongs to us, we're shown how to make use of what we have, right? And you can apply this to anything, even if you're not given a lot. It's just showing you how to make use of that and turn it into what you need to give. It shows you how to be self-sufficient. It shows you how to be self-dependent, And this also shows you, like I said, how to make use of what you have. It shows you how to refine your raw materials and put them together into a refined or finished product, or a final product, right? And then we're looking at that lesson. We see that if we have if we have these true and exact square miles, 196,940,000 square miles, and then of the land, that's 57,255,000 square miles, and the water is 139,685,000 square miles. Those are true and exact square miles, right? So we're dealing with the truth. We know this. You can go and cross-reference this. You can go and search it. You can even go and measure it yourself. You can't do that. I don't think no one's going to up and do that shit. But you can cross-reference that, and that's going to be right and exact, right? So if we're dealing with the truth, we have understanding of the truth, and if we manifest or raise our level of understanding to such a high point, meaning our awareness to that reality, right? Meaning we've lived it, we've actually researched it, and we know this to be right and exact. That we know this to be the truth. Final, ain't no other questions about it. But then when you are dealing with the truth, your awareness to that truth, once you have that understanding and that awareness, and it's elevated to such a high level, you aware of that so much, you know it so well, you know the inner and outer circumference of it, you know what makes it up, the entire 360 degrees of the cipher, right? You know that so well that you have the power. That's righteousness. That's a very high state of operation, a high state of awareness that is righteousness, right? Right and just, meaning right and exact, and it's for, right and just. That's a combination of two words. That's how I see it, right? But righteousness is that high level of awareness. And you brought it from knowledge born mentally, and now you can do it physically. That's willing into existence, because Almighty God Allah was able to will into existence the universe, right? No one's mind other than his wise mind can do that, right? But since we're a manifestation of Almighty God Allah, and the black man is a god of the earth, we have to do that within our own respective way. Meaning we got to do it from knowledge born. I'm taking these right and exact square miles. I'm using that as an example. I'm taking these right and exact square miles, and I'm elevating that. I'm thinking about it. I'm putting them together, right, to such a high point. Now, guess what? I've created that action plan of what I want to do. Whatever. If you want to build up a house, if you want to make a fan, if you want to make whatever, a lamp, you gotta study. You gotta think, right? And you gotta draw out your action plan. You gotta draw out your blueprints with the house. We have to create the schematics first, right? And then once you've done that, now you had an entire action plan. You brought it from knowledge to born mentally. You've seen you've seen the culture of it, how it affects the people around you as well as your own self, how it affects the environment, how it affects everything, right? So you've shown, you've seen, you brought it from knowledge born mentally. Now it's time to do it physically. Now you can actually carry it out, and that's walking the walk and talking the talk. Because that's always be saying about building, right? Building ain't just talking. That's actually doing things, right? Building could be going to a community center, building one up, teaching on the streets. Building could be it can be talking, but it also can be buying food for people, making sure that there's daycare centers, making sure that your neighborhood is all picked up and clean, right? Making sure that the people is safe there, protecting your people, protecting your woman, right? That's building. That's building, right? So you must take it from knowledge born mentally, and then carry and act that out physically, showing and proving your equality, and that the way in which we live, our culture has to be a show and prove culture, right? But going back to this, our level of awareness is so high to that fact, meaning we have that power to take something with that in our mind, and then to carry it out with our hands, plant them seeds with our hands, right? That's willing into existence that's willing into existence with our own respective manner, right? And then going to that, if refinement is a clothing you wear, and clothing is a clothing from unawareness, right? But let me quote the lesson. Power of refinement. Going back to refinement, refinement is clothing wearing. When person is refined, he is divine, has the power to destroy devilish men, right? If clothing is the clothing you wear, right, and the clothing clothes you from unawareness, that high level of awareness as righteousness means you must surround yourself with righteousness. You must construct your entire cipher of righteousness, meaning that high level of awareness. So anything that comes in contact with you instantly deciphers itself, and you see for what it actually is. You don't take nothing on face value. It isn't that necessarily that you don't, it's necessarily that you can't, because what you surround yourself with is that high level of awareness, that high level of operation, meaning no bullshit can get past you. Anything that comes in contact with you instantly reveals itself to what it actually is, whether it's doing it or whether you just seeing it, right? Because you never take nothing on face value. Like I said, cross-examining, bringing it from knowledge born mentally, then doing it physically, and carrying out your thoughts with your actions, but making sure your thoughts are correct in the first place. That's gonna be the foundation. If you have a crooked or incorrect foundation, it's gonna fuck up the rest of the shit, right? It can't stand, right? If the bones ain't strong, if you try to frame up a house, let's say um I'll give you an example. I use screws to frame a house. Well, screws versus nails when you're framing up a house, right? This is just an example. Screws is gonna over time they're gonna come out, right? Nails is gonna hold a lot better, right? So when you're dealing with framing a house, you got to make sure that you're using the correct materials to put together them frames, or else your house ain't gonna be structurally secure. Or even same as the actual foundation, right? That shit, if it's not correct, you're gonna have warped. Your floor's gonna get fucked over some years. But that's how it has to be. So you have to make sure that with your mind, what's going on mentally has to be. That's why you have to bring it from knowledge of born. I know I'm repeating myself, but I'm emphasizing how important this shit is, right? So you have to have that. After that, you have to have that high level awareness, meaning anything comes in contact with you, your entire 360 degrees of that cipher, now the degree of that is going to be off. You're dealing with right and exactness, meaning you can build that and you're aware to that. Let's say if I have let's say I have an NPC 3000, I'm a wizard with that shit. I know how to do all types of shit, meaning I have full creative control versus a person who's new with that shit. They're not really sure how everything works. They might be trying to they can make a little beat, but if you take a person, right, fuck, like it's kind of like creativity, comparing it to deciphering shit. It's not necessarily that you don't take anything on face value. That's just the way in which you operate. So if I notice I can use the NPC 3000 without my eyes closed and shit, I'm a wizard with that shit. Meaning I have the entire field to do whatever I want. I can experience. I know how everything works. So I'm not gonna worry about that. None of my mental power is gonna be siphoned off and worrying about, oh, can I do this? Nah, I already know I can do it. I already know this, that, and the third. So now let me do everything else, right? So going back to an overview of this lesson, this shows you how to use that which you was given, right? Even if it wasn't whatever, it shows you how to use that, how to manifest something from that, right? And also how to protect yourself. So this doesn't necessarily show you how to use the final product and upkeep and maintain it, but it shows you how to take your raw materials, refine them, and put them in together into a finished product or a final product, right? So that's just how I see today's mathematics. That's how I see today's student enrollment. That's how I see all today's degrees, right? I'm gonna repeat them before I get out. Number 5 in mathematics. Number 5, power of refinement. Power is to manifest the truth, thus placing yourself into a state of awareness that is righteousness, thus cleaning yourself of all devilish negativity. Refinement is a clothing where once a person is refined and he is divine, has the power to destroy devilishment. And then number 5 in the student enrollment, that's number 5. What is the area in square miles of the planet Earth? How much is the land? How much is the water? The square miles of the planet Earth is 196,940,000 square miles. The land is 57,255,000 square miles, and the water is 139,685,000 square miles, right? And that's how I see today's mathematics and today's different degrees and their relation to each other and how we can use it and apply it to our everyday lives. So I will that this video was able to communicate communicate my understanding and share some wisdom and knowledge with y'all, right? And again, y'all must study y'all 120 degrees as best y'all can, myself included and shit. You can't be taking days off, because people be messing up and shit. But we gotta just properly plan this shit out, because taking into account today's mathematics, right? So just keep your prayers up, and also prayer for patience, and gotta keep your patience up, right? And bear witness that ain't no mystery God or no spook God that lives out in space. I don't pray looking up in the air on my knees. As the most honorable Elijah Muhammad taught, we must stand up with our hands outstretched, thumbs pointing towards our ears, right? So I just want to share that stuff with y'all, and I hope y'all operating at your high level, not letting all of these things cloud your mind or cloud your thinking. As I said, surround yourself with that high level of awareness, right? Don't, just because whatever, don't let your shit down. You always have to be, that has to be your culture. That has to surround yourself every day while you sleep, while you wake up, while you do whatever, right? So peace to all the guys and the herbs. Yeah, that's all I had to say. So peace.